Life-changing revelation. Waitress exposes Billionaire's shocking connection to her hidden mother. The cafe hummed with the early morning buzz, steam curling from coffee cups and the sugary aroma of pastries wafting through the air. Sarah wiped down the counter, her heart heavy and her focus split between the crush of lunch orders and the weight of her father's medical bills. Days blurred together in a whirlwind of double shifts as survival pushed dreams to the back burner. Yet in this tight-knit corner of the city, hope flickered like neon lights, igniting the spirits of weary souls who leant on one another for strength. And then he walked in. Jack, the billionaire with an eccentric air that turned heads as he strolled toward the counter, his presence cutting through the crowd. His eyes sparkled with mischief as he contemplated the pastries, a rarity for someone often boxed into the corner office. Their exchange was electric. "What sounds good?" he asked, his tone lighter than expected in a man of his stature. In that moment, something shifted. Sarah found herself laughing, pulling up her sleeves, sharing her story, the gritty challenges of nursing school and the weight of family obligations. Jack shared his burdens too, his words woven with hints of rebellion against a world that worshipped money above all. What they found in each other was a truth that transcended financial status, two souls navigating the labyrinth of survival. Days turned into weeks, and the cafe became their stage, a backdrop for a friendship blossoming between coffee cups and midnight shifts. Sarah's curiosity deepened with every encounter. There was tenderness beneath Jack's bravado, a longing that mirrored her own. Yet darkness lurked just out of sight. Her mother's disappearance gnawed at her heart, an unclaimed piece of her past. And then, the storm hit. One night, rummaging through her father's attic, Sarah stumbled upon a faded photograph, and it rocked her world. There, in a frame encasing worn memories, stood Jack side by side with her mother, a woman she struggled to visualize. The world tilted, her breath caught. Her heart raced. Jack was tied to her past in ways she couldn't have fathomed. Questions piled up faster than orders at the cafe. Torn between the memories of her father, who resented the wealthy elite, and the intoxicating possibility of connecting with the mother she lost, Sarah felt adrift. Determination fueled her. She needed answers. The cafe, once a sanctuary, morphed into an emotional battlefield. "Jack," she called, heart hammering as she arranged to meet him after his usual morning visit. The weight of her emotions hung heavy, a mixture of anger and longing. The cafe buzzed around them, customers remarking at the odd tension that seemed to draw all eyes. "You need to tell me the truth," Sarah demanded, meeting his gaze. Jack's eyes widened, remorse coiling around his features. Their conversation soared and dipped, bearing secrets and regrets, the fabric of their lives woven tighter than she had ever imagined. But before their talk could bloom into understanding, a familiar jingle rang through the air, the bell, signaling the door opening. Sarah's heart dropped as another customer entered, throwing everything into doubt. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With the tension electrifying the air, Sarah stood on the brink of revelation. Would she embrace this new, complicated maternal connection or cling to the familiar love of her father? The unanswered questions loomed larger than life, leaving her teetering on the edge of a decision that could change everything. Would she find the courage to step into the light, or remain shrouded in shadows of uncertainty? The door swung open, sending a rush of cool air into the cafe, and Sarah's heart thudded against her ribs. She glanced towards the newcomer, tension coiling like a spring inside her. Their conversation hung precariously in the air, fragile like a soap bubble waiting to pop. "Sarah," Jack's voice cut through the clamor, urgency threading through his words. "Please, let us talk." He edged closer, determination set in his eyes, but the newcomer caught Sarah's attention. It was a woman with striking features, her hair cascading in waves, and an aura of confidence that demanded respect. "Excuse me?" the woman said, casting a glance at Jack, then fixing her gaze on Sarah. I'm looking for someone. The challenge in her voice hung over them like a dark cloud. For a moment, everything froze. Jack's expression flickered surprise, recognition. The air felt thick with unspoken words, and Sarah could feel the weight of her decision pressing down on her. Who are you? Sarah asked, crossing her arms, unwilling to waver in front of this new threat. The woman's lips curled into a slight smirk. Name is Lisa. I've been searching for you, or rather, for your mother. Her words crashed against Sarah like a wave, pulling her under. My mother? She echoed, sounding small and fragile. Jack stepped in, his face taut with concern. What do you know about her? More than you might think, Lisa replied, her tone sharp as she leaned against the counter, surveying them both. Sarah's mind raced. You don't know anything about my mother. She felt her voice rise, fueled by layers of pain and longing. Actually, Lisa continued, I knew her well. We were close once. The confession slipped out casually, but the implications shattered something inside Sarah. Jack shifted beside Sarah, awareness dawning. You were friends? Lisa smiled, almost tauntingly. You could say that. I was with her when she disappeared. The presence of this stranger felt like a gaping hole in Sarah's world, pulling at the threads of her carefully stitched life. Anger bubbled up within Sarah. You think you can just waltz in here and play with my emotions? I don't even know you. She felt the burn of unshed tears, a mixture of rage and helplessness. Lisa held her ground, unflinching. I'm here because I believe you deserve the truth. Jack moved closer to Sarah, his voice low and steady. What truth? The truth about your mother and the choices she made, Lisa replied, her eyes steely. She was caught up in something bigger than herself, something that involves both of you. Every word dripped with gravity. The cafe around them faded as Sarah focused on Lisa, desperation igniting her curiosity. Bigger than herself? What do you mean? Lisa hesitated, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. You have to understand, Sarah. There are people who don't want you to know. But if you want answers, I can help. What is the catch? Sarah's question came out blunt, laced with skepticism but fueled by a flicker of hope. No catch. Just a choice. Meet me tonight at the old bridge. Midnight. Do you want the truth? Jack's hand brushed Sarah's, warmth radiating through the doubt bombarding her thoughts. She looked between him and Lisa, the weight of this decision crashing down. Just think about it, Lisa said, an enigmatic smile on her lips before she turned and walked away as the bell jangled behind her. Sarah felt a whirlwind of emotions. The offer tethered between doubt and a longing for closure. Jack held her gaze, searching for answers together in the depths of their connected past. Are we ready to chase this? He asked, squeezing her hand gently. Sarah's heart raced, caught between fear and that glimmer of hope. But the answer hung there, suspended in the air, teasing the possibility of resolving the shadows of her mother's legacy. What was she willing to risk to discover the truth? And would the answers heal or deepen the scars they both carried? The night awaited, and the choice loomed just beyond the horizon. The hours dragged on like a slow-moving tide, each tick of the clock in the cafe echoing loudly in Sarah's mind. She sat across from Jack, their half-finished coffees growing colder, their conversation replaced by an unsettling silence. The cafe buzzed with life around them, but Sarah felt trapped in her bubble of uncertainty, the weight of Lisa's words pressing heavily on her chest. What do you think she wants? Jack finally broke the silence, his brow furrowed. His concern washed over Sarah like a warm wave, but it could do little to wash away the growing storm inside her. I don't know, Sarah admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But if she knew my mother, if she was there when she disappeared, then she has to have answers. The thought was both a beacon of hope and a dark pit of dread. What if Lisa revealed something that shattered the fragile image Sarah had of her mother? Jack leaned back in his seat, contemplating the options. If it were me, I'd want to know. I'd have to know. His voice was steady, yet Sarah could see the flicker of unease in his eyes, mirroring her own inner turmoil. Meet her? She pondered aloud, her fingers absently tracing the rim of her cup. The idea felt monumental, like standing at the edge of a cliff, staring down into an abyss. What if it's all just a trap? Jack reached across the table, grasping her hand. You won't be alone. We'll go together. We can figure this out. His touch grounded her in reality, but fear flickered beneath the surface. And if we dig up something we can't handle? We've handled worse, he replied, a hint of a smile breaking through his worry. We'll handle this, too. As the cafe began to empty, Sarah's resolve started to shift. The thought of facing her mother's past felt less daunting with Jack beside her. Perhaps, just perhaps, it was time to uncover the truth not only for herself, but also for the boy who had stood by her through so much. The clock on the wall chimed 6, the sound jarring. I should go home and get ready, she said, her heart pounding at the thought of midnight. Jack nodded, standing with her. I'll walk you home. They stepped outside, the cool air wrapping around them like a protective cloak. The streets glowed with street lamps, casting gentle light on their path, but the shadows still seemed eager to swallow them whole. What if? Sarah took a breath, trying to voice a fear that had lodged itself in her throat. What if I don't like what I find? What if I'm not ready for the truth? Then we face it together, Jack replied, his voice steady and reassuring. Truth can hurt, but it can also bring freedom. You deserve to know who you are, Sarah. Those words resonated within her, sending shivers down her spine. She turned to face him, seeing not just her friend but a steadfast support, his gaze unwavering. The evening sky darkened, stars sprinkled across the horizon like scattered diamonds. Time was slipping away, and with each passing minute, the reality of her choice settled deeper within her being. Okay, Sarah finally said, determination kindling within her. I'll meet her. I need to know. Jack smiled, relief washing over his features. All right, just remember, whatever happens, I'm here. As they approached her apartment, Sarah felt the weight of the night pressing closer. The old bridge loomed in her mind like a siren call, and the promise of answers dangled just out of reach. Standing beneath the soft glow of her porch light, uncertainty spiraled within her. What would she find waiting for her at midnight? Just think about your mother, Jack suggested, his voice softening. Think about how much you want to know. As Sarah nodded, she felt the knot in her stomach tighten. The night was only beginning, and her fate was intertwined with the shadow of her mother's past. What awaited her at the bridge could alter everything, to uncover a truth years buried, or to discover a deeper link to a legacy steeped in mystery. But would she be ready for the revelation? And could she trust the woman who seemed to know it all? The old bridge beckoned, and the answers were tantalizingly close. The clock on the wall moved closer to midnight, each tick echoing in Sarah's head like a countdown. She paced her small living room, glancing at the windows, half expecting to see Jack's silhouette in the darkness. He promised he would wait for her, but the minutes felt endless. Was she ready for this? She stopped in front of the mirror, studying her own reflection. The woman staring back seemed unfamiliar, haunted by the weight of the past. A knot twisted in her stomach, and she took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. I've got this, she whispered, although her voice quivered with doubt. The night air felt cooler as she stepped outside, the stars above dimmed by the growing clouds. Shadows danced along the path to the bridge, and with each step, the heaviness in her chest grew. It was as if the darkness was trying to pull her back, away from the answers that awaited her. When she reached the bridge, Jack was there, leaning against the railing, his face lit by the moonlight. He looked up as she approached, his expression a mixture of concern and encouragement. You ready? He asked, his voice low. I think so, she replied, but her heart raced. Jack stepped closer, offering his hand. As they walked together toward the center of the bridge, Sarah's thoughts spiraled. Memories of her mother, flashes of laughter, warmth, and the mysterious absence swirled in her mind. What had it all meant? What would Lisa reveal? Each question felt like a heavy stone, weighing her down. Remember, Jack's voice cut through her thoughts. Whatever happens, we face it together. She nodded, squeezing his hand. It was a small comfort against the storm brewing inside. They arrived at the spot where the bridge met the water, a place where secrets were whispered and lost to the depths below. The moon cast shimmering reflections, turning the river into a silvery path, both beautiful and foreboding. That a figure emerged from the shadows, and Sarah's breath hitched in her throat. Lisa stood there, her presence strikingly familiar, yet distant. The waitress's eyes held more than just the weight of a story. They glinted with the knowledge of her mother's secrets. Sarah, Lisa greeted, her voice soft but firm. Thank you for coming. Just tell me what you know, Sarah urged, her impatience bubbling beneath the surface. Lisa hesitated. It's not that simple. Your mother's story is tangled with mine, and it's dark. Jack's grip tightened around Sarah's hand, a silent show of strength. Why should I trust you? Sarah demanded, pushing back against the rush of emotions flooding her. You just appeared out of nowhere. I understand why you'd feel that way, Lisa said, her eyes lowering for a moment, then meeting Sarah's gaze again with intensity. But this is bigger than both of us. This is about the truth, and it has the power to change everything. The words hung in the air, heavy with possibility and dread. As Sarah looked from Lisa to Jack, uncertainty gripped her, squeezing tight. For a moment, she could only hear the quiet rush of the water below. Tell me, Sarah finally said, her voice steady despite the tumult within. I need to know everything. There was a flicker of something in Lisa's expression, perhaps fear or regret, but she nodded. You're going to wish you hadn't, he asked. Just then, a gust of wind rustled through the trees, as if nature itself was holding its breath. A shiver ran down Sarah's spine. Could she handle whatever came next? As Lisa began to speak, the air thickened with secrets, and the bridge felt like it might collapse beneath the weight of revelations yet to come. But would the truth set her free, or would it entrap her even further in the shadows of her mother's past? Lisa took a shaky breath, the moonlight catching the glimmer of tears gathering in her eyes. Your mother, she began slowly, her voice wavering with emotions that seemed to grapple inside her. She was a part of something much bigger than either of us. It's something I wish I could have protected you from, but it's time you know the truth. Sarah felt her heartbeat rise again. What do you mean? Was she involved in something illegal? The fear crept into her voice as she imagined her mother caught in a web of crime or deceit. She couldn't bear the thought. No, it's not that simple. Your mother had a connection to someone powerful, someone dangerous, Lisa replied, her gaze suddenly distant, as if she were looking back in time. He was a man with influence, a billionaire who could have any life he wanted. But he chose to be a part of something darker. Sarah's brow furrowed, piecing together the fragments of confusion. What kind of connection? Lisa hesitated again, her fingers nervously gripping the railing of the bridge. He loved your mother, but it wasn't just love. It was obsession. The whisper of the word hung ominously between them. Obsession? Sarah repeated, her mind racing as fragments of her mother's past collided against her consciousness. She had seen the flickers of something in her mother's eyes, a sadness mixed with longing. But could it have been this? Yes, and it turned her life upside down. She had to choose to protect you from the fallout, from the violence that came with his world, Lisa said, her tone intensifying. That's why she disappeared. That's why she left. Jack's hand tightened around Sarah's, a lifeline amidst the torrent of new emotions swirling within her. But why didn't she ever tell me? Sarah's voice cracked, the anger fighting against the sadness bubbling beneath. Why leave me with only whispers and shadows? Because Lisa's voice softened. She thought it was for your safety. It was never easy for her. I was there, Sarah. We were both young and scared. She carried the burden alone, thinking that keeping it a secret was the best choice. The word struck Sarah like a lightning bolt. Her mother had endured pain, sacrifices made alone, all for her sake. It dawned on her that this revelation wasn't just about the secrets of the past, but about the love her mother had for her, the lengths to which she had gone to shield her. And how do you know all this? Sarah asked, wanting every thread of the story that was unraveling before her. Because I was involved with him too, Lisa confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. Not romantically, but I was part of their circle. I saw the destruction, the chaos it brought. Your mother had to leave to protect you from a storm that was brewing, and I should have done more to help her find a way out. A heavy silence fell, the weight of Lisa's admission hanging thick in the air. The truth was raw, cutting deeper than Sarah could have imagined. What had her mother lost to keep her safe? Her life? Her dreams? Why are you telling me this now? Sarah's heart felt as if it might burst from the conflicting emotions surging through her. Because the storm is coming again. Lisa looked straight into Sarah's eyes with a steely resolve. He hasn't forgotten about her or you. I fear that if you don't prepare, you'll find yourself in the same danger she faced. As those chilling words echoed between them, Sarah felt the ground beneath her shift. The secrets had come to light, but they only led to deeper shadows lurking just beyond the horizon. Jack's grip on her hand tightened as Sarah searched Lisa's eyes, more than ever needing clarity. "What do I do?" she whispered, the battle of hope and fear twirling violently in her mind. Lisa took a cautious step closer, urgency etched across her features. "I can help you, but you must trust me, Sarah. We'll need to uncover the truth about him and your mother together. Are you ready for that?" The night air surged with a tension so thick that every breath felt heavy with impending change. Sarah's heart raced, pounding in sync with the dark waters below, as a flicker of realization struck her. The truth was only the beginning, and she was not just stepping into her mother's shadows. She was embracing her own fight for freedom. With the threat looming and the past clawing at her heels, would she have the strength to face the chaos ahead? The moment hung thick in the air, electricity coursing through Sarah as she stared into Lisa's determined eyes. Trust felt like a fragile thing, as if admitting it could shatter under the weight of the secrets revealed. But in this storm of uncertainty, Sarah clung to the one point of light, Jack, standing firm beside her. "Okay," Sarah finally breathed out, her voice steadier than she felt inside. "I'm ready. But where do we start?" Lisa nodded, her expression shifting from worry to resolve. "First, we need to gather everything we can about him. His name is Victor Lyle. He is not just influential, he is dangerous. And he has a way of getting what he wants." Victor Lyle, the name echoed in Sarah's mind, a name that felt like a shadow cloaked in menace. "What if he comes after me? What if he finds out? Then we'll make it harder for him," Lisa responded, leaning in closer. "I wasn't just a bystander. I know people, connections that could keep you safe. But we need to act fast. If he is aware of you, he won't hesitate to use whatever means necessary to get to you." As they spoke, a sense of urgency settled over them, thickening the air. Jack squeezed Sarah's hand, trying to ground her amidst the whirlwind of new information. In this moment, they were not just a girl wishing to solve a mystery, but participants in a dangerous cat-and-mouse game. "Let us go to your mother's old apartment," Lisa suggested, her voice low but firm. "There might be clues there, documents, anything that can tell us more about her and what was happening back then." The thought struck Sarah like a bolt, a night spent sifting through her mother's past, searching for echoes of a woman she hardly knew. It should have felt daunting, yet a stubborn hope flickered to life. Perhaps finding those pieces would illuminate the path forward. They hurried to Lisa's car, the night air becoming a cool balm against the heat of their rising anxiety. As they drove through familiar streets, Sarah's thoughts raced. How had everything slipped so far into the shadows? It was time to bring her past into the light. Minutes later, they arrived at the apartment complex. The building loomed ahead, dark and quiet, like a ghost of memories long buried. "We'll be quick," Lisa instructed, as they made their way to the entrance. The moment they entered, a wave of nostalgia washed over Sarah. She could almost envision her mother laughing, cooking dinner, or simply staring out the window, lost in thought. The walls felt alive with stories, some soft and warm, others sharp and painful. "Here," Lisa said, gesturing toward the door at the end of the narrow hall. This was her unit. As Sarah reached for the doorknob, a sudden chill coursed down her spine. She hesitated, shadows flashing through her mind, a whisper digging deep. Was she prepared for whatever lay beyond this threshold? Taking a breath, Sarah pushed the door open. The musty air greeted them, thick with the weight of time. There it was, a small living room filled with old furniture and remnants of a life left behind. "Look for anything personal," Lisa urged. "Photographs, letters, anything that might point us toward Lyle." As Sarah began to sift through piles of musty boxes and faded remnants of her mother's life, a feeling of connection washed over her, mingling with dread. She unearthed a few crumpled papers, their edges worn, but one caught her eye. It was a small notebook, its cover adorned with swirling designs. "What is this?" Sarah whispered, her heart racing. Lisa's breath caught in her throat as she leaned in closer. "That could be important," she urged. "Open it." As Sarah flipped through the pages, a mixture of curiosity and fear consumed her. The entries contained sketches, thoughts, and something else, names and dates, ominous notes that hinted at deals made and promises broken. And at the very bottom of one page, a single line took her breath away. "I won't let him take you from me." Tears pricked her eyes as Sarah realized that her mother had been fighting a battle of her own, a battle that hadn't ended with her disappearance. Sarah Jack's soft voice broke through her haze. "Are you okay?" She nodded, still processing the weight of it all. The realization hit hard. Her mother had never stopped caring, even in the darkest of times. But as Sarah scanned the room, a sinking feeling settled deep in her stomach. The past was reopening, and she sensed that Victor was closer than she had thought. "Let us keep looking," Lisa urged, determination swelling in her voice. "We need to find everything we can." With each page turned, Sarah felt the shadows gathering, the storm brewing around them. And somewhere in the depths of her heart, she understood. This fight was just beginning. Would she be strong enough to take it on, to confront the truth of her mother's choices and the man who had haunted her life? As they dug deeper, an unsettling question loomed. Who would emerge unscathed at the end of this journey? As Sarah continued to flip through the pages of the notebook, the faint sound of footsteps echoed down the hallway, sharpening her senses. The hairs on the back of her neck stood on end. Had someone followed them? Her palms dampened, but she forced her attention back to the notebook. There were more names, some familiar, others unrecognizable, and as she read the notes beside them, panic began to creep in. "Jack," she whispered, her voice low and shaky. "I think I found something big." She pointed to a name that felt weighted with significance. "Here. It's a part of a business deal between my mother and Victor. It mentions a cafe one my mother used to work at. It's connected to him. We need to go there," Jack said, his voice firm. He squeezed her shoulder gently. "Whatever it is, it could give us more answers." Lisa nodded, her brown eyes wide with urgency. "Absolutely. If your mom was involved with him, we might find more clues about his influence." But before Sarah could agree, a loud bang echoed from the apartment entrance, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps. Her heart raced. "We might not be alone," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. The realization hit, like a punch. Victor's reach was already closing in on them. "Quick, hide the notebook," Lisa hissed. Without thinking, Sarah shoved the notebook deep into her pocket while Jack slipped behind a faded armchair. Confusion battled with fear as she moved to a dark corner of the room, her heart drumming loud enough to drown out the sound of her breath. The door creaked open, slow and deliberate, as a shadow fell across the threshold. A tall man stepped inside, his posture regal, confidence oozing off him like a dark fog. Victor Lyle. Her stomach knotted as chills danced along her spine. The man who had haunted her mother's life now stood in her space. "Sarah Lisa," he called out, his voice smooth and cold, like ice cracking underfoot. "I know you're here." Her pulse pounded. She had only seen his photographs, but seeing him in the flesh was far more terrifying. His eyes scanned the room, searching for them. "Leave," Lisa whispered from the shadows, desperation lacing her voice, but Sarah couldn't move. The potent mix of fear and anger froze her in place. Despite the danger smothering her mind, something deep within her ignited. This was her chance to confront him, to demand answers. "What do you want?" she shouted, stepping out from her hiding spot. The words surprised even her. Victor's gaze snapped towards her, a sly smile spreading across his lips. "Courage, I see. But you're in over your head, my dear. You should have stayed in the dark. Why did you take my mother?" The words tumbled out, heavy with years of unspoken hurt. His expression shifted, darkening. "Your mother made choices she should have lived with. Unfortunately, when people get involved in matters they can't comprehend, it can lead to unfortunate outcomes." Before she could respond, Jack moved from behind the chair, positioning himself protectively in front of Sarah. "You stay away from her." Victor raised an eyebrow, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Brave, but foolish. This is not your fight." But it was becoming Sarah's fight, she realized. As the tension mounted in the air, an overwhelming sense of urgency washed over her. They needed to get out of there, to find that cafe, to uncover the truth her mother had fought to protect. "You're wrong," Sarah declared, her voice gaining strength. "This is my mother's story, and I won't let you silence it any longer." The storm outside mirrored the one surging within her. With each breath she took, she felt the weight of the revelations pressing against her, and she realized it wasn't just about her mother anymore. They had to act fast before Victor could ensnare them in his shadow. "Let us go," Jack urged, his eyes fierce. But as they turned to leave, Victor's laughter pierced the air, chilling them. You think this is over? Oh, my dear Sarah, you have no idea what you're stepping into. With those words lingering in her mind, they bolted out of the apartment, hearts pounding, knowing they had unleashed something much bigger than themselves. One more was waiting for them just around the corner. The dim hallway felt endless as they hurried down, their feet silent against the cold tile. Sarah's heart raced with a mix of fear and determination. Victor's words echoed in her mind, haunting her. What had she unleashed? What truth lay ahead? You okay? Jack asked, urgency tightening his voice. He glanced over his shoulder, as if expecting Victor to emerge from the shadows any moment. Yeah, Sarah swallowed, taking a deep breath. I'm okay. Just we have to get to that cafe. Lisa nodded, her expression serious. We need to be careful. If Victor is involved, we can't trust anyone. They stepped outside, the cool night air wrapping around them like a blanket. It felt refreshing but eerily quiet. Lights from nearby buildings flickered, casting long shadows on the street. Sarah felt exposed, as if the world knew they were being hunted. What do we know about this cafe? Jack asked as they walked briskly. It's called The Roost, Sarah replied, her mind racing with memories. My mom worked there before everything happened. Lisa's brow furrowed. And you think it will have answers? Sarah turned to her. I know it will. There are things about my mom I don't understand, but I have to find out. I have to know who she was to Victor. Jack shifted slightly, his eyes scanning the street. Let us just get there quickly. The journey felt both swift and eternal, their senses tingling with every sound and shadow. Sarah struggled to keep her thoughts in line. She remembered vague conversations from childhood, fragments of her mother's nervous laughter and hushed tones. What had her mother truly been a part of? As they approached the Roost, the cafe looked almost ordinary, but anxiety pulsed within her. They arrived to find it locked up tight, darkness draping the small building like a heavy curtain. Is it even open? Lisa asked, peering through the front windows. We could check back tomorrow, Jack suggested, a hint of hope in his voice. No, Sarah shook her head. We can't wait. There has to be a way in. She tested the door locked. But then, she spotted a side entrance. There. She pointed, leading them down the narrow alley. Jack and Lisa followed, hesitance grasping them until they reached the door. As Sarah gripped the handle, her heart raced with every passing second. The fear of what they might find was nearly suffocating, but the desire for answers drove her onward. Would she find the truth? Or would Victor's influence wrap around her like a suffocating chain? With a deep breath, she twisted the knob. The door creaked open, revealing an empty storage room scattered with boxes and memories. The smell of coffee lingered in the air, a bittersweet reminder of her past. Looks like no one has been here in a while, Jack murmured, his voice echoing slightly in the silence. Then let us look for clues, Lisa said, already moving towards a dusty shelf. Sarah stepped further inside, the tension in her shoulders loosening just a bit. This was where her mother had been, where her life had intersected with Victor's. Every inch of this space pulsed with potential revelation. She brushed her fingers against a dusty old poster on the wall, a vintage advertisement for the Roost featuring her mother's name listed among the staff. Her heart fluttered, an avalanche of emotions washing over her. This was a link to her mother's life, a piece of her that had been hidden away so long. Look at this, Sarah called out, excitement threading through her voice. She turned it over and gasped as she saw a scrap of paper attached to the back. What is it? Jack asked, stepping closer. I don't know, but it looks important. She unfolded the paper carefully, her hands shaking. The bold letters caught her breath, a cryptic note with an address, along with a single name. Victor. What does it mean? Lisa whispered, her eyes wide as she peered over Sarah's shoulder. Before Sarah could respond, they heard a noise, a muffled thud from the main cafe area. The sound sent a chill down her spine. Did you hear that? Jack said, his voice now a mix of tension and fear. Yes, it could be Victor. Lisa whispered, panic flaring in her eyes. They exchanged glances, knowing what they would likely find if they ventured out there. The weight of their choices hung thick in the air. Did they go confront the danger head-on? Or slip away quietly into safety, leaving the truth behind? Sarah, what do we do? Jack's question rang out, the urgency clear. She glanced at the note in her hand, then looked back at her friends. We have to face him. We can't run from this. As they positioned themselves, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. A sense of clarity washed over her. The truth was within reach, but what would come of it? With that thought lingering in her mind, they made their way towards the noise, hearts pounding with anticipation. What awaited them around the next corner? A secret, a confrontation, or even more shocking revelations? The quiet hum of the cafe enveloped them as Sarah led the way out of the storage room. Each step felt heavier, the thrill of finding the note now mingling with a suffocating fear. She could almost see the shadow of Victor lurking, waiting for them just around the bend. "Stay close," she whispered, her eyes scanning the dimly lit main area. Jack and Lisa followed closely, their breaths barely audible. The sound that had echoed from the front was a mystery, something that turned her stomach into knots. Was it him? Had he already set a trap? "Maybe we should just," Lisa began, her voice trailing off. But Sarah shook her head, unwilling to let fear dictate their actions now. They stepped into the cafe, the once vibrant place now silent and eerie. Shadows played tricks on her senses, making her jump at every creak of the floorboards. She caught a glimpse of the barista station, where her mother had spent countless hours. Memories washed over Sarah, her mother's laughter, the warmth of her embrace, the way she always made every coffee order feel special. "Focus, Sarah," Jack said softly, breaking her reverie. "We need to check around the bar." Taking a deep, steadying breath, Sarah approached the counter, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. The cafe was a time capsule frozen in place, dusty and forgotten. Did Victor come here often? What secrets did the walls hold? As they searched through remnants of coffee bags and abandoned menus, Sarah's fingers brushed against something. With a tug, she pulled out a small, leather-bound notebook covered in dust. It was fragile, the pages barely hanging on, but her mother's handwriting was unmistakable. "Look at this," Sarah whispered, holding it close as if it contained magic. Lisa and Jack crowded around her, eyes wide. "What does it say?" Jack asked, leaning in. "Let me see." With trembling fingers, Sarah began to flip through the pages. They were filled with notes, details about customers, receipts, and unexpected entries marking dates accompanied by cryptic thoughts. But as she thumbed through, a particular page caught her eye. "Victor's visits have become more frequent. He likes to talk about his plans, his successes." Sarah read aloud, the words sending a shiver down her spine. "There's more. I worry for him. He's not as he seems." "Your mom was worried about him?" Lisa asked, eyes darting back to the darkness surrounding them. "Something was wrong with him," Sarah murmured, fear creeping into her voice. "But why didn't she tell me anything?" Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the silence. The sound echoed from the back door. They froze, tension hanging heavy in the air. Someone was definitely here. Jack stepped protectively in front of Sarah. "We need to find out what is going on." "Do we split up?" Lisa asked, a note of panic creeping in. "No," Sarah said firmly. "We do this together." They moved towards the source of the noise, adrenaline coursing through them. As they approached the back door, dark shadows flickered against the wall. Her gut clenched as she imagined Victor lurking in the shadows. Just as Sarah turned the knob to the back door, it swung open violently. The figure was rushed, cloaked in shadow and intention. It was Victor, panic in his eyes, but there was something else lurking behind, that fear, a desperation that clawed at Sarah's heart. "Get back," he shouted, raising his hands, but a wild emotion hovered in his gaze. "Why are you here?" Jack demanded, stepping forward as if to shield Sarah. "I came to warn you," Victor exclaimed, his voice shaking. "It's not what you think. I was trying to protect her." Sarah's breath hitched. "Protect who?" With trembling hands, she clutched the notebook tighter. "What do you know about my mother?" She pressed, the walls closing in around her. Victor hesitated, glancing between them. "I can explain. You have to trust me." The truth hung in the air, thick and electric. Sarah's heart raced. Could she trust him? "Why should we?" Lisa challenged, fear morphing into anger. "Because if you don't, you're all in danger," he said, stepping closer. "And once you learn the whole story, you may never want to look back." The weight of his words sent a chill through Sarah. What had her mother been involved in? What danger loomed? They stood there, caught in a moment of heated tension, desperately teetering on the edge of revelation. Would they dive into the truth, despite the potential peril, or retreat and leave the mysteries unresolved? Before Sarah could voice her next thought, a loud siren wailed outside, its blare cutting through the night and signaling that their time was running out. "What now?" Jack said, fear seeping into his tone. Victor's eyes flicked towards the sound, urgency sparking within him. "We can't stay here. They'll come for you." The urgency pulsed in Sarah, a raging storm of confusion, fear, and an undeniable urge to stay and fight. But she had to decide. Facing the truth might uncover everything, but at what cost? Before she could make her choice, the cafe door swung open wide, light spilling in from the outside. And standing in the doorway was a figure she never expected to see. Their eyes locked, and Sarah felt the world spin as a new mystery unraveled before them. The figure in the doorway was unmistakable, an air of familiarity, yet heart-stopping in its realization. It was her mother, or at least, a version of the woman Sarah had lost long ago. Her hair was longer than Sarah remembered, flowing in waves, her face painted with a mixture of resolution and worry. "Mom," Sarah gasped, the name nearly catching in her throat as disbelief crashed over her like a wave. The air thickened, the weight of unanswered questions clouding the space between them. "Sarah," her mother replied, voice trembling but resolute. "I didn't want you to find out like this." Victor's expression twisted in horror, the wariness in his gaze intensified. "No, this is a mistake. You shouldn't be here." He turned to Jack and Lisa, urgency palpable. "You need to enough." Sarah interrupted, anger pulsing through her veins. "All of you need to stop." "Mom, why are you here now?" The silence was deafening as her mother stepped inside. "Because I had to protect you, Sarah. The truth is dangerous. It always has been." Sarah felt torn. "Protect me? By disappearing? You left me with questions, with pain. I grew up alone, feeling like a part of me was missing." Each word felt like a knife, the hurt spilling out as she fought to reconcile years of absence with this miraculous moment in front of her. "I thought I was making the right choice. I thought I was saving you from the world I was caught in," her mother said, stepping closer, desperation pooling behind her eyes. "What world? What did Victor do?" The growl of anger in Sarah's voice matched the storm brewing outside. The tension was electric, wrapping around them like a tangible walled AT. That moment, Victor stepped forward, his face marked with desperation. "Your mother made choices that put her and you in danger. I didn't want you to grow up in that shadow. Your mother was strong enough to break free, but not without fear." "Fear of what?" Jack questioned, stepping forward, protective spirit flickering in his determination to stand with Sarah. "Of him." Sarah's mother gestured toward Victor, betrayal and sympathy crisscrossing her expression. "He was involved in things that twisted lives, dark dealings that threatened to swallow everyone around us. But you chose to leave instead of fighting for your family," Sarah whispered, the frustration breaking through her pain. "Wasn't he worth the fight?" Her mother seemed to crumble a little more with each accusation, the past echoing louder than any present argument. I thought it was for the best. I thought I could shield you." But now her voice trailed off, the words heavy with regret. Victor cleared his throat, trying to regain their attention. "We need to leave. Now. If she's here, they'll come for both of you. We don't have much time." "I don't care," Sarah shouted, fire kindling in her heart. "You're connected to this. I deserve to know the truth, not just bits and pieces." "Listen to me, Sarah," her mother pleaded, stepping closer as tears glistened in her eyes. "If you want the truth, I've fought to help you uncover it. There's a reason why I vanished, why I had to protect you from knowing too much about Victor, about my mistakes. Then tell me everything," Sarah insisted, the fire of her anger morphing into determination. "This is the moment. We need to confront this together." "All right," her mother said, voice strong amid the brewing storm, "but we can't do this here. We need to go somewhere safe, somewhere he can't reach." And just like that, a plan began to form in their minds. Jack looked at Lisa, noting her silent agreement. This was about more than just secrets, it was about reclaiming what had been lost. "Where do we go?" Sarah asked, her voice steely. "Back to the old bridge," her mother replied, the gravity in her voice real enough to silence all doubts. But before they could move, the sound of sirens grew louder, racing through the fog of night. Victor's expression twisted again with urgency. "This is it. We have to move now." With a shared determination that flowed through them, they fled the roost, hearts pounding and minds racing. Every step forward was a step into the unknown. But this time, it felt different. They were united, forming a tight circle of resolve that couldn't be broken. They crossed block after block, weaving through the night as shadows until the familiar silhouette of the old bridge finally loomed before them. The atmosphere shifted, charged with the electric potential of all that remained unsaid. As they reached the bridge, Sarah looked back at her mother, the woman she thought she'd lost forever. There was fear in her eyes, but also a flicker of something else, hope. For the first time, they were stepping into the light together. "You're not alone anymore," Sarah said softly, grasping her mother's arm, pulling their shared past into the present. Together they stood in a circle of trust, ready to face whatever storm awaited. Had the truth finally begun to unfold? The night was relentless, but beneath its cover, they were ready to reclaim their story from the shadows. "Let us find out what's waiting for us," Sarah breathed, determination blazing in her heart, knowing they were stepping into the unknown together. This was where it would all change. Now, this chapter closes with a fervent reminder. You need to subscribe now to this channel if you don't want to miss a single moment of these intense transformations. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and keep the magic flowing. Comment below with your feelings about this thrilling conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to join this wild journey. Because only true fans understand that every action counts.